Welcome to another Just Traveling Through video. I'm Celeste.
And I'm Terry, and today we're going to take you through Arches National Park and give you some tips.
Tips and information to help you plan your own trip. We're on a 16-day trip through Colorado, seeing the Big Five in Utah, but also hitting some of the spots in Colorado that we haven't seen before. So Arches was one of our primary targets on this trip.
It is the highest concentration of natural stone arches in the world,
with over 2,000 arches in the park. So getting to Moab, Utah in the first place. Moab is pretty much in the center between Denver, Salt Lake City, and Vegas.
Very accessible. We came in from Colorado, as we mentioned earlier, 354 miles away, but you could equally fly in from Salt Lake City or Las Vegas.
Salt Lake City is the closest at 234 miles away.
So as you can see from the map, Moab is really a destination for people who are interested in visiting the various national parks, both Arches and Canyonlands.
Yeah, Moab is where most people are going to stay when they're there. There's plenty of hotels, there's plenty of places to eat, there's places to rent Jeeps and all kinds of things. There's a lot of activity going on. It's a great little town. The visitor center for Arches National Park is right off of the main Highway 191. So the park is essentially a driving route with stops along the way.
Yeah, it's approximately 25 miles from the entrance station to the far back side of the park, so it's easy to drive in. There are a few rest areas with toilets and restrooms scattered about.
You can see the park in a day or less. We saw most of the park within a half a day, but we didn't do a lot of hikes.
Yeah, now that we're back home and we're looking over what we saw and what we didn't see, we probably would have stayed longer, or maybe even plan on going back someday and seeing and hiking what we didn't get a chance to do when we were there.
Tip number 1, timed entry reservations are required.
The National Park Service is trying to limit the number of people in the park, so you must go to their website to get yourself an entry, or you won't get in that day unless you go early.
So we actually missed our timed entry and ended up going to the park before sunrise. In our case, it was actually kind of cool that we missed it, because our original reservation was like at 1 in the afternoon, and it would have been crowded and really hot, and we ended up going the next day, and it was nice and cool. And it was beautiful being there at sunrise.
And parking was not an issue anywhere in either of the lots, so there's a big advantage in going early in the day.
Our next tip is to get an app that will guide you through the park. We got ours from
Action Tour Guide.
And it was very informative.
Yeah, all of his information was accurate and timely, and we really enjoyed the guy's description of what we were seeing.
Really added depth to the rock formations that we were seeing, told us where to turn and what we were looking at, and geologically how those things
were formed.
But it was really worth it. We thought it really added value.
It did. It's a good addition to your trek through the park.
Our next tip is to bring food and water into the park with you.
There are no places to acquire either inside the park.
But once you pass the visitor center, there's nothing else.
Yep.
Other than bathrooms. So soon after you enter the park, you'll see a number of different sites.
The first being Park Avenue and Courthouse Towers.
And next we went by the Three Gossips.
350 feet of sandstone standing straight up in the air.
A little ways down the road, we came across Balance Rock at sunrise.
Balance Rock is 128 feet high, with the balancing part rising 55 feet above the base, and the rock weighs 3,600 tons, balanced as it is.
After that, we headed over to the window section of the park.
The window section is comprised of several different formations: north and south windows, turret arch, and double arch.
Yeah, after you park in the parking lot, you'll see turret arch and north and south window are very close to each other. You can park there, and turret arch is off to the right.
Easy walk.
And north and south window are more straight and a little left.
Right, and double arch is the opposite direction, lying a little bit north of the parking lot.
spent a lot of time in this area of the park.
Yeah, this was a nice stop. There's an awful lot to see and do. Not only is there stunning windows, arches, the north and south, and the turret arch very close by the parking lot, but the horizon is just filled with stunning geography.
Yeah, I think when you're planning, plan to spend at least an hour in this area at a minimum. The next area we saw was Delicate Arch.
Delicate Arch is the most widely recognized landmark in the entire national park, and it's depicted on Utah license plates and a postage stamp commemorating Utah's centennial anniversary of admission to the United States in 1996.
There's a couple of ways to get to it. It's a little bit of a distance from the parking lot areas. There's a hike you can do from the Wolf Ranch location all the way up to the arch itself, or you can drive down to the lower Delicate Arch viewpoint.
It has an opening 46 feet high and 32 feet wide, and it is the largest freestanding arch in the park.
And the next thing you'll see is the Fiery Furnace viewpoint.
The area below the viewpoint is low-lying and gets very hot during summer days. In fact, it's one of the very few restricted hiking areas in the entire park. Permission must be obtained at the park entrance before you can go into the trails, and there is a ranger-led hiking group that you can join to see that area.
Up was Dune Arch, and this actually was one of my favorites. I liked it because you walk through a bit of a slot canyon in soft sand before you get to it.
It's like walking in a beach, and I think if you look at our video, I'm not sure you can tell how deep that sand is, but it is quite deep and not easy to walk in.
Once you come around the corner, then you see the arch, and this doesn't show you how tall it is, but it is really quite tall. In a second, you'll see a picture of Terry underneath it. And last but not least, we saw Skyline Arch. It's a little bit off of the road. It's about a quarter to a half mile walk to see it. That's all we have for Arches National Park today. It was one of the highlights, I think, of our visit to the Moab area.
Yeah, visiting in May meant it wasn't quite hot enough an issue.
And going at sunrise made it really unique and unusual.
Yeah, definitely, because it also allowed us to get parking everywhere we went.
So stay tuned for more of our videos. We'll be doing other videos on the Moab area, including Schaefer Trail, Canyonlands, and Dead Horse State Park. Thanks!
See you later.
And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. We look at all of our comments. Thanks again.